Shock report. Obama's State Department collaborated on the Hoax Dossier by Amy Moreno for TruthFeedNews.com. Well, turns out the Russia probe is political after all. Not that we didn't already know that, but now the evidence is pouring in. New documents released on the Carter Page FISA warrant prove Obama's DOJ was actually colluding and collaborated on the Trump-Russia dossier. We already have James Clapper stating that on CNN. From Breitbart, New York documents released on Saturday related to the wiretapping of former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page reveal information that contributed to the government's application to monitor Page originated with the State Department under the Obama administration in October of 2016. That detail may be particularly relevant since numerous officials from John Kerry's State Department have been fingered for playing roles in the distribution and in one case possibly also the compilation of the largely discredited 35-page anti-Trump dossier, which focused in significant part on Page. Well, that's interesting. So they played a role in distributing and also the possible compilation of the discredited anti-Trump dossier. Wow. Much of the interaction between the State Department and the dossier author took place just prior to the October 2016 date mentioned in the newly released Page documents. Dossier author Christopher Steele, a former British spy, was commissioned to produce the questionable document by the controversial Fusion GPS opposition research firm, which was paid for its anti-Trump work by Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign and the DNC. State Department official Jonathan Weiner admitted to exchanging documents and information with Steele and passed the dossier contents to other officials at the State Department. Weiner also admitted to receiving information from Clinton associates Sidney Blumenthal that originated with Cody Shearer, a shadowy former tabloid journalist who has long been closely associated with various Clinton scandals. Weiner conceded that he passed Shearer's anti-Trump material to Steele. On Saturday, a heavily redacted version of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court FISA application, along with several renewals, were released in response to the FOIA request. Most of the more than 400 pages were redacted. The second bullet point in each of the applications reveals that the information of Page's status, quote, was first provided to the FBI by the State Department in October of 2016. The section states the target of this application is Carter W. Page, a U.S. person and an agent of a foreign power described in detail below. Yeah, but he also worked for the FBI previously and for Bill Clinton, so why did they omit that part? The status of the target was determined in or about October 2016 from information provided by the U.S. Department of State. The rest of that section is redacted. Unredacted sections in the application do not provide any further clues about which information was provided by the State Department. Kerry's State Department has been under scrutiny for its ties to the dossier and for its possible role in adding in the FBI's contacts with dossier author Steele. First, there is State Department official Weiner. After his name surfaced in news media reports related to the probes by House Republicans in the dossier, Weiner authored a Washington Post op-ed in which he conceded that while he was working at the State Department, he exchanged documents and information with dossier author and former British spy Christopher Steele. Weiner further acknowledged that while at the State Department, he shared anti-Trump material with Steele passed to him by longtime Clinton confidant Sidney Blumenthal, whom Weiner described as an old friend. Weiner wrote that the material from Blumenthal, which Weiner in turn gave to Steele, originated with Cody Shearer. Weiner served under Bill Clinton's administration as the U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for International Law Enforcement. He wrote in his Washington Post op-ed, and he rejoined the State Department in 2013 at the insistence of John Kerry. In the Post piece, Weiner related that while he was at the State Department, he repeatedly passed documents from Steele to Russia to state officials. Really? Including to Victoria Nuland, a career diplomat who worked under the Clintons and served as Assistant Secretary of State for European and Eurasian Affairs under Kerry. Over the next 2 years, I shared more than 100 of Steele's reports with the Russian experts at the State Department, who continue to find them useful, he wrote. Weiner wrote that in the summer of 2016, Steele told me that he had learned of disturbing information regarding possible ties between Donald Trump, his campaign, and senior Russian officials. Weiner says that he met with Steele in September of 2016 to discuss details that would later become known as the anti-Trump dossier. Weiner wrote that he prepared a 2-page summary of Steele's information and shared it with Nuland, who indicated that, like me, she felt that the Secretary of State needed to be made aware of this material. Besides bringing Steele's dossier information to the State Department, Weiner conceded that he also passed information from Blumenthal to Steele, specifically charges about Trump that originated with Shearer. Weiner described what he claimed was the evolution of his contacts with Blumenthal regarding Shearer's information, which he says he passed to Steele. In late September, I spoke with an old friend, Sidney Blumenthal, who I met 30 years ago when I was investigating the Iran-Contra affair for then-Secretary Kerry, and Blumenthal was a reporter at the Post. At the time, Russian hacking was at the front and center in the 2016 presidential campaign. The emails of Blumenthal, who had a long association with Bill and Hillary Clinton, had been hacked in 2013 through a Russian server. While talking about that hacking, Blumenthal and I discussed Steele's reports. He showed me notes gathered by a journalist I did not know, Cody Shearer, that alleged that Russians had compromising information on Trump of a sexual and financial nature. What struck me was how some of that material echoed Steele's, but appeared to involve different sources. On my own, I shared a copy of these notes with Steele to ask for his professional reaction. He told me it was potentially collateral information. I asked him what that meant. He said that it was similar but separate from the information he had gathered from his sources. I agreed to let him keep a copy of the Shearer notes. Shearer has numerous close personal and family connections to the Clintons and has reportedly been involved in numerous antics tied to them. National Review previously dubbed Shearer a creepy Clinton confidant and the strangest character in Hillary's vast left-wing conspiracy. In his Washington Post op-ed, Weiner does not say whether he knew at the time he interfered with Steele that the ex-British spy was working for Fusion GPS, or that Fusion was being paid by the DNC and Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign via the Perkins Coie law firm. Besides Weiner, there is Victoria Nuland, a senior official in Kerry's State Department, who gave the green light for the FBI to first meet with Steele regarding his wild claims about Trump and Russia, according to a recently released book. It was at that meeting that Steele initially reported his dossier charges to the FBI, the book relates. The book, Russian Roulette, The Inside Story of Putin's War on America and the Election of Donald Trump, is authored by reporters by Michael Isikoff and David Korn. The book documents Steele told Fusion GPS co-founder Glenn Simpson that he believed the claims that he uncovered about Trump represented a grave national security threat that needed to be reported to the FBI. Simpson eventually allowed Steele to report the dossier's claims to the FBI, the book reports. Steele sought out Rome-based FBI Special Agent Michael Gaeta, with whom he had worked on a previous case, before Gaeta met with Steele on July 5, 2016. The book relates that the FBI first secured the support of Nuland regarding the arrangements of Steele's initial meeting with the FBI about the dossier claims. Issacoff and Korn report. There were a few hoops Gaeta had to jump through. He was assigned to the U.S. Embassy in Rome. The FBI checked with Victoria Nuland's office at the State Department. Do you support this meeting? Nuland, having found Steele's reports on the Ukraine to have been generally credible, gave the green light. Within a few days, on July 5th, Gaeta arrived and headed to Steele's office near Victoria Station. Steele handed him a copy of the report. Gaeta, a seasoned FBI agent, started to read. He turned white for a while. Gaeta said nothing, then he remarked, "I have to report this to headquarters." The book documents that Nuland previously received Steele's reports on the Ukrainian crisis and had been familiar with Steele's general work. Nuland previously served as Chief of Staff to Deputy Secretary of State Strobe Talbot under Bill Clinton's administration, then served as Deputy Director for former Soviet Union affairs. Nuland faced confirmation questions prior to her most recent appointment as Assistant Secretary of State over her reported role in revising controversial Obama administration talking points about the 2012 Benghazi attacks. Her reported changes sought to protect Hillary Clinton's State Department from accusations that it failed to adequately secure the woefully unprotected U.S. special missions in Benghazi. Meanwhile, an extensive New Yorker profile of Steele named Kerry's Chief of State at the State Department, John Finner, as obtained the contents of a two-page summary of the dossier and eventually decided to share the questionable document with Kerry. Finner received the dossier summary from Weiner, the magazine reported. Yeah, all right, they're giving us a whole runaround of what, but they failed to mention Carter Page worked for Bill Clinton in the 90s, okay? So, I mean, this is a runaround. For me, this is a whole big runaround. But the only information that I got from this is that Kerry helped in the collaboration of the dossier. So what does that tell you? They're all involved. They're all in cahoots. They don't want their dirt to come out. That's why they hate Donald Trump. And they figure, let's get him involved in this Russian hoax in order to deter from pointing out our criminality in a lot of things that took place. So basically, that's the bottom line. And, it's time to end this investigation. It's allowed to continue. Yes, I know they're incriminating themselves more, but it's getting kind of old and it's getting disgusting because the Obama and Hillary are prancing around. Free birds. Mueller is out there now going after Trump's Twitter account. I mean, give it a rest. And meanwhile, the taxpayers are being billed for this garbage, and it's getting disgusting. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.